welcome to the Blessed Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Raquel Tosin. And this podcast is here to help you experience being blessed that transcends a mere hashtag. Now, I'm a firm believer that being blessed is a mindset, and we have to make a daily decision to be blessed. So if you're ready to be encouraged, enlightened, and entertained, then you're in the right place. I'm broadcasting on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network, a nonprofit charitable radio broadcast with the mission to empower, encourage, and educate. If you are enjoying the Blessed Podcast, please donate to www.wytv7.org. Every little bit helps to further our mission. And right now we are feeding families and first responders. So all of your dollars help. And we also give scholarships. So go to www.wytv7.org, donate, and see all the good stuff that we're doing over there. Today's podcast is sponsored by Tosin's Publishing for the month of Raytober, because y'all know it's my birthday month. For the month of Raytober, we are giving you free shipping on purchases of $20 or more. So this is a great time to go get the I Am Blessed journal to help you to remember to make a daily decision to be blessed. The journal is $11.95, I think, something like that. So you get you one and get one for a friend. We're going to ship it to you for free. All right, so this is October that you're hearing this, but we are actually recording this in September, and September was the Life Insurance Awareness Month. So my guest today, and you know, all of September we were celebrating teachers. That's why we did this one in October, because I had to give the teachers their time to shine. I hope you enjoyed the teachers. But I have with me Erica Moore, Regional Vice President of Five Rings Financial. She lives in Virginia with her family. Erica has been a mentor for me. And guys, let me just let you know, life insurance, I know is like don't nobody want to talk about life insurance, because when you talk about life insurance, you're talking about dying, and everybody want to go to heaven, don't nobody want to die. I already know. But let me tell y'all, Erica is here to tell us how life insurance is more than just burying your family. Welcome, Erica, to Blessed.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you.
So I told everybody a little bit, just a very little bit about you. Is there something else you want to share about yourself? Because, you know, I'm just like your job, you are so much more than that. I'm sure you do you want to share some more facts about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a busy vice president with Five Rings Financial. Life is full, busy with church life, all of those things. So not just life insurance. While I am very passionate about life insurance, I'm passionate about other things as well. My kids are into the arts, and I love, I used to love enjoying their performances and artwork and all that kind of stuff. I can't wait until we get back to all of that after COVID is over. But for now, just being safe and staying in and doing the best to serve my clients and really share the good news. And I do call it good news about life insurance and all the things that it can do for us that most people are not aware of.
That is so fun. So let me just go back real quick. You talk about your kids in arts and stuff. So my child used to be in everything, and I just found myself being a glorified taxi service.
Yes.
And going from one audition or rehearsal and this and that. And then, yes, we do love to see them perform, but oh my gosh, some of those performances when they were younger, it was long, and then it's not just your kid, and it's oh. But I actually found myself missing that now that my son is a music teacher. I was all excited so I can see his students perform, but we are in COVID, so I have to wait maybe a year or so before I get to do that. But in the arts is something I love, the arts, and I think every parent out there listening, hey, put your child in some kind of art. Is they're singing, dancing, creating art with their hands, or it's playing an instrument, something because it just opens your child up, I believe, for greatness because they it just changes the way that they think. Do you
It
agree?
does. It does. I just have to share this one funny thing. Of course, we're doing school online. My daughter, my youngest, is a freshman in high school, and she dances and she also plays the saxophone. Why is band class at 8:30 in the morning?
Stop it. Stop
That
it. Stop it.
is cruel.
That's so cruel. So at 8:30 in the morning, you're like, "Rrr."
Yeah, that's when I've been going for my walk. It's made me consistent with my walk. So there's the silver lining, right?
Oh, the silver lining. Isn't that something? So it's like, oh, time to walk.
Time for my walk.
I love it. Everybody needs something that's a motivation or exercise. I know I do. So
That's been it for the last week and a half.
that is so funny. That is so funny. I'm sure everybody out there got a story. So if y'all hearing this, y'all got a story, come on, share it, send it down, write it down, let us know. But let's talk about insurance. Now, my father used to be an insurance agent, the kind that, will go around every week to collect money. Yeah. So, that's that's when people think insurance. I think
Yes.
about that person going in and collecting money every week from people. What was
I
that
do
about?
remember that. My grandfather, when I would stay with my grandparents, there was a guy that came by every single week, and I know it was less than $1 that he was collecting because my grandfather would, when he would see him coming, he would say, "Go get that change off my dresser," and I would come bring him. I can't remember how much it was, but I know it was change. Yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah, those were the days when I think that people were like, people were just being buried. That was their burial insurance. But, just the fact that somebody had to come and do that every week, I would not have wanted to be an insurance agent back then if that's what we was going to have to do. Oh,
Yes.
goodness. But let's talk about, because I'm excited about the living benefits insurance policy. So, of those who are out there, while we were on hiatus, my aunt passed away. And I talked about her before, I believe, but what she loved to travel. And so we went, we did as much as we could. We went to Hawaii, but we could only stay for like 5 days. And some people are like, only for 5 days, that's a lot. But when you have cancer, you know you're dying because it's not, the medicine's not working. 5 days is not a long time to be somewhere you wanted to be. And then she kind of got sick a little bit. So a couple of the days she was just laying in a hospital. I mean, not a hospital, but in the hotel room. So it would have been so nice to have more than 5 days, but we just didn't have the money to spend to stay for like 2 to 3 weeks like we wanted to. But when, I learned about the living benefits and I was like, wait a minute, you mean we could have stayed in Hawaii for 3 weeks? So Erica, tell everybody about the living benefits life insurance policy.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you, living benefits is one of the things that has gotten me even more excited about sharing life insurance. So everybody knows, life insurance, when you have it, when you pass away, it provides a chunk of money for your family. But with living benefits, you actually can access the death benefit of your life insurance policy while you're living if you become seriously ill. And I'll give you an example. I have a client, Andrea. I met Andrea about 5 years ago. At the time, she was 41 years old and healthy. So she qualified for the best rates for her life insurance. Now, Andrea is single, no children. And at the time, she really didn't think she needed life insurance until I explained living benefits. I asked her a question. I said, Andrea, what would happen if you were not able to work? If you got sick and you couldn't work? And she was like, well, I wouldn't have any income. Right, exactly. So your life insurance is more to protect you with living benefits. So here's what happened. Fast forward about a year ago, I get a call from Andrea. And sadly, she had been diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. We prayed and we talked a bit, and ultimately we submitted a living benefits claim. So what living benefits do is they allow you to accelerate your death benefit. So we submitted the claim, they reviewed it. About 3 weeks later, now Andrea had a $250,000 policy. They offered her $212,000.
Wow.
So we were able to get a check in her hand in under a month for $212,000. And so what that's meant for her over the last year is that she's able to focus on getting well instead of worrying about how she's going to pay her bills.
Mhm.
And, you know, I talked to Andrea a couple weeks ago, most recently, and she's doing better. She's gone through all of her chemo. She's getting well. And here's what she said. She said, I met a lot of people while, you know, she was going through the chemotherapy, and she met a lot of other cancer patients. And she said so many of them were stressed to the max because their bills weren't getting paid. Their, you know, their mortgage was behind, and all of that additional stress while they're trying to get well. And she said she was so thankful that she had the living benefits so that she could focus on her health. And I honestly think, and she said, that that's a key part of why she is recovering so well, is because that's all she has to focus on. So
yeah, she wasn't stressed, so she had the, you know, because stress hurts us.
absolutely.
Plain blank, stress hurts us. So with her not being stressed about that, she was able to really just kind of focus on getting well.
That's right.
And then, like I said, you know, and in the situations where, you know, you may not get well, you can, like, everybody has a bucket list. Everybody has a bucket list, you know? And it's like, okay, I can take this money and do the things that I've always wanted to do before I move on to my, you know, I transition to the next phase. Because here's the thing, we don't know what happens. You know, we're no longer here, but we don't know what happens, you know? So it's a transition. But I get to do the things that I wanted to do before I transition because I have that policy. So I like to call it my bucket list, you know, fund. I know it sounds horrible.
No, it doesn't. It does not.
You know, even though I try to get some of the things on my bucket list taken care of while I am healthy and all that stuff, but we just have, life happens. We don't have the money. We got to pay for the living, and we got to take care of kids. We got to do all of this other stuff. But, you know, when you get sick, don't nobody hold you to stuff. You get to go and do and be whoever you want to be, you know? So that's why I like to call it a bucket list fun. But now with the living benefits. So what if I have a family though, and I don't want to take all the money, because if I am going to die, I do want to leave them something.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So how can I get money and leave them something?
You can do both. Now, I remember in conversations with Andrea when she found out exactly how much she was going to be able to access, one of the things she said to me was, I don't think I need $212,000. She believed she needed about $100,000. And so she really had two options. She could have accelerated half of her policy.
Okay.
And so she would have gotten a check for about $106,000, and she would have had $125,000 left in life insurance.
Okay.
But since the offer was so high, I actually suggested that she go ahead and take the whole thing. So here's what you could do. You could use the portion that you need and give the other portion to your family while you're living. So that's also an option. So what living benefits really do is they give you options. You could make the offer, you could receive the offer, make the claim, receive the offer, and then you get to decide whether you want to take some of it, all of it. It's up to you at that point. It just gives you that option.
That, you know what, Erica, I'm just gotta say it. It sounds too good to be true. It sounds
I've heard
like
that
it cost
before.
me like $200 a month to have that kind of insurance policy. So,
Well,
like that sound now, because it just sounds like it just sounds like too good to be true. Would that cost me like a chunk of money?
Interestingly, life insurance that has living benefits doesn't cost any more than life insurance without it. It's the pricing is very, very competitive. In Andrea's case, at the time she got her policy, she was 41 years old and she was very, very healthy. She qualified for the best rates. Now, I want you to just hold on to your chair for just a second when I tell you what she was paying every month. It was $19 and change. That's right.
Stop.
Right.
Stop.
Hers
Stop.
was a term policy.
Are
And term
you
policies
guys listening to this? Are you guys listening to this? That's crazy.
Right, right.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Life insurance
Wow.
costs are generally a lot less than what people think they are. And so I think a lot of people fail to ask or fail to go out and look for life insurance because they think that it's cost prohibitive. They think it's going to cost a whole lot. Now, again, Andrea was female, 41, and very healthy. So I'm not telling you that
Non-smoker, I'm
everybody's
sure.
policy is $19
Right.
a month. That's not the case. But it's generally less expensive than people think it is. I'll say that.
Wow, that is pretty cool. Now, we talked about the living benefits because I was excited when I learned about that. I was very upset that I didn't know about it before. So I just have to say that because I pride myself on knowing a lot, and I didn't know about that, and that really hurt my feelings. Like I literally cried. I literally cried because I'm like, had I known about this 10 years ago, we would have all had it. And Burnett and I, my aunt, we would have been able to spend a month in Hawaii, or go from island to island, whatever. We could have done all that kind of stuff. But one of the other things, you have a program called Million Dollar Baby. How can you use insurance to have $1 million for your baby? Help me out. Explain this to me.
I'd love to. This is something I wished I had really understood when I had my first child. So I'll just share with you. At the time, I have a friend. He's still a friend, but at the time, he was an insurance agent. And I remember when my son was born. Now my son is 22 now, but when he was born, I remember my friend coming by and or calling me to congratulate me, and then he said, we need to get some life insurance on that boy. And I was like, ew, that was what I thought. Actually, I probably said it because this is a good friend.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't understand. And unfortunately, he didn't really explain it to me. So what he was talking about is a specific type of life insurance. It's permanent life insurance. And there generally are two types. Term life insurance is pure protection. It's going to give you living benefits, death benefit. That's it. No cash. Permanent life insurance adds another component. There is a cash accumulation inside of a permanent life insurance policy, and they can be designed for all different kinds of purposes. But in the case of a child, you can design a life insurance policy so that they're able to grow cash inside of that policy without tax. So it's growing tax deferred, and they can access it at any age for any reason. And so parents create these accounts sometimes to fund college, to give their kids a great head start in life. So as an example, a parent could put away $50, $100, $200 a month for a child. If they start that when that child is a baby, now they have to be at least 15 days old before they can do that. But if they start a policy like that when a child is a baby, $100 a month can create an incredible amount of money by the time that child is at retirement age. So much so that they could create a policy that would give that child a six-figure tax-free income by the time they're 65 or 70. It is unbelievable. So if you understand compound interest and the ability to grow that money over such a significant period of time, you can use small amounts of money because we're growing that money for 60 or 65 years. It becomes an enormous account for that child. And most people
Wow.
don't know it exists.
So you could set up your child from birth to be taken care of when they are retirement age, or when, to go to school for college, or to maybe give them a down payment on a house.
Yes. Yes.
That,
Pay for a
okay.
wedding.
That sounds like it'd be a lot of money.
Well, what you have to understand is the power of compound interest.
Okay.
When you are putting away small amounts of money for such a long period of time, that money grows and compounds over that time. When you add the fact that we are not paying taxes on the interest that's accruing in that account, it allows those accounts to grow even faster. And so when you think about a child, now the reason we use life insurance as opposed to some other vehicle is to get the tax advantages. And so you're paying for a little bit of life insurance, because remember, life insurance is priced based on the age, and the younger you are, the less expensive it is. So if we're talking about somebody that's 15 days old, it's going to be very inexpensive. And then also it's priced based on their health. So if you've got a healthy young person, the cost of life insurance is minuscule. And so only a tiny, tiny bit of what you're putting into that account is going to pay for the cost of the life insurance. The majority of what you're putting into that account is going into the cash accumulation. And so those accounts grow like crazy because the cost of life insurance is small, and that child, it has such a long time for the money to grow. It's unbelievable.
Wow, because that just sounds like something that, my child is way grown now. It's too late for that. But, grandbabies or things like that. And it's like, instead of being the grandma that buy all these toys,
That's right.
I could just put money aside every month. And I'm like, okay, because I may not really care about when they turn 65, but, I want to be that grandmother that gives a down payment on a house. Like, I want to be that grandmother. Like, I want to be able to give down payments for houses.
Your grandchildren will never forget you.
So important. And but then something like going to college, because I'm like, you know what? You don't have to pay a lot of money to go to college. You can go to the state school, you can get scholarships. But when it's time to buy that house, if I can give you a 20% down payment as opposed to a 3.5% down payment, that's huge.
That is. It is.
And in some cities, that down payment is actually maybe the cost of a house. Because here in LA, a down payment is $160,000.
Here in DC, not much different.
In some cities, is a whole house.
That's right.
So it depends on where my grandbabies want to live. I could actually be buying them a whole house.
I'm just outside of DC, and while we might not have prices quite like LA, we're pretty close.
Yeah.
So I understand.
That is just amazing to me that you can do all of that with life insurance. It's not just for burying people.
And don't think that this has passed your son by, okay? While we call this $1 Million Baby when we're doing this for a young child, the same structure can be created for someone older. In fact, I have a policy very similar to that, just designed a little bit differently because I'm a little older, but it still works amazingly well. I'm 55, and that same scenario still works best for me, because when I was putting together my own policy, I compared all different types of financial vehicles, and this one still came out best for me at retirement age. So
okay, so
wait a minute, is not out of it.
You're talking about retirement now, because there's a lot of people out there like me. I just turned 50 last year, and I have to say I don't have any retirement money right now. Don't have it. So, most of us, the way that the retirement thing, you got to work till you're 70 now. So let's just say 20 years. So if I start saving for 20 years, I could have actually saved money for retirement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the one caveat is that because it is life insurance, it is underwritten. And so it only works if you're healthy enough, right? This scenario, there are other options available to somebody that maybe is less healthy. The challenge is the older you are and the less healthy you are, the cost of life insurance goes up. So at some point that balance doesn't work. The objective here is to grow the cash. So if the life insurance is too expensive, then we may have to look at some other vehicle to put that money. But as long as you're healthy, I have done scenarios like this for people that are into their 60s. And because they're healthy, the cost of life insurance, it still works better than pretty much anything else that we're looking at. So
that is
and safe.
Awesome.
That's the other thing, is the safety. The money is not at risk as it's growing. And that's a huge comfort for people for their retirement money, the money that you can't afford to lose, to have it in a vehicle where it is safe.
Right. And then it's not like this is the only way that they can still buy their stocks. They can still buy, invest in real estate. This is just a way for it to be safer, just in
Right.
case the volatility of things go kind of haywire. And like right now, as a landlord, people not paying their rent. So there's that. So, although real estate is great, but it's like, but when people not paying, it's like,
You're right.
yeah. Yeah,
Right.
so that is really awesome. It's just really interesting. So we talked about life insurance, living benefits that you can, if you get sick. Now we talked about terminal illness, with cancer. But what about if I had, like, let's say a heart attack?
Right.
Which,
So
I'm not going to die, but I may be out of work for a few months, or, just trying to get everything. What about that? Can I get some money for that?
yeah, so living benefits fall into three key categories: terminal illness, critical illness, and chronic illness. So the terminal is the most straightforward. In most areas, the definition is 2 years or less to live.
Right.
If that's the case, you're going to be able to accelerate about 90% of the death benefit. Just take it while you're living and do with it whatever you choose, right? There are no restrictions on how you use the money. The second category is critical illness or critical injury. So in that's where heart attack, stroke, cancer, ALS, organ transplant, traumatic brain injury, like as a result of an accident, things like that fall there. How much you can accelerate depends on the severity of the illness. So the most severe, like in Andrea's case, hers was considered a life-threatening critical illness.
Mhm.
And so she was able to accelerate about 85% of that death benefit. And
Okay.
so if it's less severe, it doesn't affect your life expectancy as much. And so you're not able to accelerate quite as much. And so that's all determined once you make a claim. But yes, if you were to have a heart attack, stroke, cancer, ALS, things like that aren't going to take you out of here, right? But they're going to take you out of the workforce for a significant period of time. Yes, absolutely. And then the last area is chronic. And that, how you access chronic has to do with your ability or inability, I guess, to perform the activities of daily living. So toileting, bathing, eating, dressing, transferring, maintaining continence. If you can't do two of those without significant assistance, then you would be able to make that claim under chronic. And it doesn't matter what caused it. It could be an accident. It could have been anything or illness. But if you find yourself in that situation for more than 90 days, then you would be able to access or accelerate that death benefit for that reason. So there are a lot of different triggers that will allow you to do it. It doesn't have to be terminal illness only.
Wow, Erica, you have given us so much information, and we have to go. How can people find you? What can they go to a website, get more information about this if they want to know about living benefits, $1 million babies, tax-free retirement? How can they contact you?
Yeah, they can get to me on my website, which is 5ringsnationscapital.com. 5ringsnationscapital.com. And, if they would want to have a private appointment, there's a place there that they could schedule that. And I'd be happy to sit down and talk with anybody about their personal situation. Because obviously we can talk in generalities like this, but when it comes to your personal finances, your needs, it's very private and very personal. And I take it seriously. So yeah, I would love for folks to reach out through the website.
Okay, well, you all heard it here. Listen, we have to do this kind of thing while we are young enough and healthy enough to get the best rate. So don't put it off. Yeah. Do not put it off. We are in a terrible time right now. People are getting sick and they don't know what. So I'm just saying, if it were me, because we need to do it now, today. Do not delay. Go to 5 Rings
Nations Capital.
And get you an appointment. Thank you so much, Erica. And for everybody out there listening, remember what God has done for others, He can do the same thing for you. That's why we're bringing you this kind of information, because you can have everything that you desire. You just got to open up your minds. Be blessed until next week.